Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Blitzkrieg 3. Okay, well, I actually had to look this up. Martuba, I think I'm pronouncing that more or less right, is an airfield. That's about all I know about it during it's some village, but during World War II it was an airfield out there. And it said it saw heavy fighting, so we're going to see what this is now. Okay, and we have 200 points. Let's try a half track. That looks like a good mix. We will see how this does. Wait. Continuing their victorious forward march, the Allies have taken Bardia and Tobruk. On January 24th, the Italian forces are hastily retreating along the coast, leaving behind defensive posts in an attempt to delay the advance of for at least a while. Capture the small village. Okay, so we got to clear out the village in the Italian HQ. I'm guessing we'll need at least one squad to kill out or clear out the HQ. Okay.
New task.
New objectives. Oh, way up in here. Yeah. Okay. Now, how do we get there? Come around this way, maybe? Or this way?
Infantry here.
Let's send in a rifle squad.
Roger that.
Just to see what they're doing.
Roger that.
Take cover, take cover. Get down. Got it. 38T up there.
Ready for battle. Affirmative.
Which I think will be best dealt with. Where are tanks?
Roger that. Troop carrier is ready. That. Now that's a fire.
Okay, well that went well. Maybe we should have assaulted it, but we don't have any.
Bomber is ready.
Any tank assault type troops. Well, we might as well move up the rest of you guys. Be ready response. Oh, there's a squad up there. Let's move this squad into this building here.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Oh, I don't really want you that close. Back up, back up, back up. Get out of there, get out of there, get out of there. Nasty Italian vehicle there.
Waiting for orders. We're on it.
I think it was a CV-33, is that what it was? Yeah, shouldn't have been as maybe as dangerous as it was.
Ready to advance.
Okay, you guys get out of there. That was a
Roger
smart
that.
move. So let's try that again with this big building here.
Infantry here. I got you.
Uh-oh. What do we have there? Machine gun in place.
I'm wounded. Right between
Reinforcement
the eyes.
points received.
Yes, Commander.
Oh,
Roger that. Yes,
Want you
Commander.
up too.
We're on the mix. Armor here. Yes, sir. Reporting.
let's move this squad up here to this building and see what we can see. Uh-oh.
Affirmative. Ready for battle. Waiting for orders. We're on it.
Now, you know, let's do this.
Ready to advance. Affirmative. Armor here. We're on it.
Uh-oh, who's shooting me? Oh, I shouldn't be worrying about it. I should be getting the hell out of the way. Oh,
Affirmative. Ready for battle.
can you move? Can I get you to survive? One of those little
Eliminated.
L-12s? Oh, anti-aircraft gun. Okay, well, that'd be sort of messy with
Yes.
tanks.
Sir. This isn't going well.
And you guys, or guy, or whoever's left. Yeah, looks like one guy.
Sir.
Acknowledged.
Reporting.
Sort of waiting for... No, I've got it. So let's see about dropping some bombs in here. Just on sheer principle.
Orders. Got you.
Our troops are under fire.
Uh-oh, anti-aircraft gun. We spotted that.
Artillery strike is ready.
No attack yet? Well, that didn't seem terribly helpful. Did spot that, but... I don't know.
Your orders? Orders confirmed.
Let's move up this squad, see what we can find.
Orders confirmed. Yes, sir.
Oh, that's holding. Right, okay, and
Our infantry is lost.
Ready for battle.
okay. Well, we've taken other losses.
Affirmative.
Bring this guy up. He ain't got much life, but if he comes in second, he may be able to add his firepower. Oh,
We're on it.
No way to shoot through that. Our tank is destroyed. No way to shoot through that.
Right between the eyes.
No way to shoot through that.
One more hit. Direct hit. Affirmative.
Bomber is ready.
okay, bombers are ready, but what we're going to do is bring in another tank.
Reinforcement is coming up.
That bombing mission sure didn't seem to do good. Don't know why.
Reinforcements arrived.
Where are you? Oh, there you are.
Ready to advance.
We got guys here.
Roger that.
Blow them out of the building.
Artillery strike is ready.
Yeah, but we don't have any points for it. So I guess that's the headquarters building, maybe. Our little 37mm gun isn't doing too fast a damage, but it is taking them down. There we go.
Affirmative. We're in the mix. in the mix. We're on it.
I said all the way around the flank here.
Affirmative.
No, keep going with this one.
We're on it.
Oh, no. No. Can you not get to here?
Roger that.
I guess you can't. Okay, well.
Roger that.
Oh, we'll start shooting at the building. Go ahead. Oh, well, now you're heading around. Wasn't quite what I was planning. A direct assault up the front. Pretty decent graphics, nice little Stuart. Notice it has the American flag on it. These are American units, though they're calling them British, and they're claiming they're equipped with British equipment. I don't know, stats-wise, how that differs. An Enfield differs from a Garand. I know how they differ in real life, just don't know the stats of the game. Oh, flag down, British flag up there.
Task complete.
Objective accomplished. Okay, that's a Salma. I think I'm pronouncing it, yes. Salma. S-35, French tank. Early/pre-war. And infantry squads. Cool. This was a fairly decent tank for its day. Had plenty of thick armor on it. The 20mm guns on the Panzer IIs really couldn't do too much to it. I'm trying to remember, is it a 2-man turret or just a 1-man turret? Because all the R-35s and the H-35s and the H-39s, those little infantry tanks, all have 1-man turrets. I'm pretty sure this is also a 1-man turret. I could look it up, obviously. So this guy's up here is firing, is like looking around like, hey, what are my buddy tanks doing? You know, right and left of me. Looking around, where are the enemy? Oh, and now that I see the enemy, I've got to move the gun onto the enemy and look down a sighting system of some sort. I don't know what they had. So it's now, you're now narrow focused on it. Don't know how many of you shoot and things, but you narrow focus on it. And then boom, now then I got to sort of step back from it, the gun, and reload the gun. All that on a 1-man tank, turret. If it has 2 men, generally speaking, I think they would normally have a loader instead of and still have the commander/gunner. But it did have, as it shows here, a 47mm gun, much better than the 37mm other French guns. Unlike the Germans, the French guns were very low velocity, so they had very, very limited penetration. That was a decent. The 47mm gun, yeah, depends on which one, but definitely the early Panzer IIIs, it could punch through quite effectively. So it's really more of the swarming effect, because this was a cavalry tank for the French, but I don't think they were really used in any formation larger than a battalion, because it wasn't until really just before the Fall Gelb, you know, the invasion of the Low Countries, did the French really start to form any armored divisions. And they were just, and de Gaulle had one of them, and so that they didn't have a real concept of an armored division. They were, you know, attaching a cavalry brigade, if you will, of tanks to a division or to a corps type command as an independent, where the and there's the Renault 35 and the Hotchkiss 35, the H-35 and the and the R-35. There was an R-39 which did sort of come out right at about the beginning of the war, and it was a longer barreled 37 millimeter gun that could develop a little bit more velocity, and that's the H-39. The years are more or less the years of when they were adopted or something. I'm not exactly sure if they're always like exactly 35 or whatever, but you know, pre-war designs that were used during the war and the primary ones. So the and so like all those little infantry support tanks, those were like a company attached to a division. So they weren't concentrated, they were spread out. So whether it's, you know, and the R-35 was the most common of the little ones. And so you'd have a company of those bump into, say, a division of German panzers, or a company or maybe a battalion of these bump into a lot more. So they would be swarmed by the German tanks. And, you know, the Panzer I just had machine guns, so it's just an infantry shooting tank, and that's fine. The Panzer II, it had a 20 millimeter gun, but it had, I think it was a 5-round magazine that would go on it. So you don't have to reload after every shot. So being a 2-man turret, which a Panzer II is a 2-man turret already, and it has a coaxial machine gun, so it's mostly still an infantry killing unit. But hey, if you run up against an armored car or like a half-track that we just had, those 20 millimeters will just punch right through them easy. Now, won't go through this, but you could still spray down a vehicle like this to make sure they close the hatches, that kind of thing, so that they're no longer looking out so well. While your buddy tanks, real tanks of the Panzer III and the Panzer IV, all had 3-man turrets. So you had one guy whose job is to coordinate with the crew, you know, tell the driver, tell the gunner what to do, coordinate with the other tanks, partially through the radio operator, you know, getting commands, you know, coming down. The Germans, for the most part, had two-way radio communication. Most of these French tanks did not have radio communication. It'd be like the platoon leader would have maybe just a radio receiver in some cases, and the company tank would have a transmitter receiver. And they would literally have like flags or hand signals like, hey, we're going to turn left here and at the next corner. Mostly it was just follow me to the subordinate tanks, you know. So, and even when you are radio communicating, you know, transmitting and receiving, the commander is still judging, am I too far out in front of the guys to the right or left of me, if you will. You know, you're still needing to look, even though you're getting commands over the radio and feedback back and forth, including like warning, tanks to the right or tanks to the left or whatever it might be, that the French weren't getting, effectively at least. And so he's coordinating with the other tanks. That's his only job. He's the tank commander. He coordinates what he wants the crew to do and coordinates, you know, looks around and sees what the other vehicles are doing within his unit, and obviously is also trying to spot the enemy and before they spot him. Then you have another guy whose only job is to feed that ammo, you know, and some of it's in racks just behind the gun so that it's quick to load. But you start to run low on it, or you need a tank killing round instead of a building blowing up round. He's got to shift them from harder to get locations about the tank to be ready to shoot. so he's ammo managing. Then you have the gunner, who is just paying attention to his small little world of looking down that gun sight, and he gets told that there's you know, tanks to the right or to the left, or as they're often going down a road, one tank will be told to watch the right and the other tank just behind it will be told to sort of watch the left. So you're sort of looking out to each flank or something, so you already have somebody ready. So he's just looking down his little world to aim and shoot and get told by the commander where to, you know, generally speaking, where the next target is. And then you have the driver, who's obviously, which all these guys have a dedicated driver. Then you have, which a lot of the tanks had, a bow machine gunner, which, because this is still in the days of these are infantry killing vehicles, bow machine gunner is still a very effective frontal firing to effect, and he doubles as the radio operator. I know many of you know this, but just giving this. And this is why, this being a pretty good tank, it had pretty good engine, had pretty good track setup, had pretty good armor on it. It, you know, thickness wise and effective wise, had a pretty good tank, a 47mm gun. The standard German gun at the time was a 37mm gun. The very few, the 75s and the short-barreled L24 75s and the Panzer IV, very few Panzer IVs for the invasion of France. And they were thought of more as a building blowing up tank, or bunker blowing up tank, than a tank killing tank. So it had all that, but it didn't have good crew coordination. It had a very small gas tank, very small, like a quarter of the size or something of the Germans. So it needed a lot of support. It wasn't going to move, even for being a quote-unquote cavalry tank, it wasn't going to move rapidly across large areas of the battlefield. And it didn't have good radio communications. So, you know, from armor and gun perspective, it's better than the German tanks. It has more armor than the Panzer IV at the time. And it has equal, you know, roughly track engine power moving ratio. It just comes down to crew coordination abilities for the German tanks that were so much better, as well as ultimately the concentration of force, meaning not just panzer divisions, but multiple panzer divisions together in one area of the battlefield. That's why the Germans are so much better than this. When the Germans got a hold of these things, and trust me, the Germans used every single captured tank they could out of France, including the old FT-17s, both the machine gun only and the low-powered 37mm thing from World War I. They used them all. The big thing they did was add radios to them. Now these you often see in photographs, you know, repainted in Yugoslavia. So they would use them against the partisans. You know, this is post the invasion. They would use them in off main theater tanks, or some of the Waffen-SS early type units would use these because that's what they could get their hands on. So they were used by the Germans, but the big thing that the Germans did, because obviously they're sort of limited by what they had there, was adding radios to them. The other thing they did to various models was start getting rid of the turrets and putting various heavier guns on them, and then using the turrets to build the Atlantic Wall. Was that just a little history lesson there? So I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. I do appreciate that. And of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, also corrections, because I'm doing all this off of memory. So if I'm getting this a bit wrong, just post the correction, and if you want to, you can link it to the Wikipedia page about a tank or whatever. Do appreciate that. See you next time for more historical gaming.